Welcome in the latest episode of the NFL Betting Podcast on the Betting the Pitch Podcast Network. At least it's still named Betting the Pitch. Hopefully, the death threats in my LinkedIn about stealing someone's name of a podcast that was supposedly registered somewhere, or maybe not death threats, but the money claims will stop. But I don't know if it's actually real. We'll see. But anywho, Andrew Schnicker, with that surprised look on your face, how are you feeling on this? There's more to it than just doing a podcast. You pick a name, it's already taken on Twitter, and then some other guy claims it. So who knows what's going on here? But we went 0-2 in our best bets this week. That was not fun. I got a text from one A_Schnicker saying New England when it was 21 to nothing.
They looked great.
What happened?
Uh yeah, I don't know if like there's like, oh well, there's an exact reason. Buffalo is has Josh Allen. And because like New England still played really well. And they when we broke it down looking at, New England using Vrabel's style of play, where there goes the camera again. It's gonna be one of those nights. All right. To be able to control the clock. Like I thought that they did a pretty good job at that. But it's just so hard to keep Buffalo's offense down. And that was not meant to like be anything other than wow. New England looks really, really impressive, and like there's nothing you can ask for, nothing more you can ask for than a 21-0 lead at home, and with Henderson, breaking off explosive runs. It But kudos, I think it's just credit to what Buffalo was able to do, even if it's not enough to potentially change the division standings because of New England's schedule to end the year. But clearly both teams are contenders in an AFC that really feels very wide open. Maybe Denver is just like obviously the best team, and we're just not used to it because we're we're dealing with a AFC that doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, any of those
Eh,
guys.
we don't know about that. We'll talk more from. We have a
We'll
bunch of
see.
standalone games because we are playing some Saturday games this
But
week.
what my point though is like as of we're recording this right now, they're not in the playoffs.
Fair.
There's 3 games left.
Long way to go.
Yep.
We're gonna go through. We have a Thursday night, great one. We have some good, no, one good Saturday, uh,
Mm,
one
yeah.
not good Saturday. Then we have a Sunday night, Monday night, and we'll go through as many games we can get through because I do think it's that time of year. We will probably touch on a little bit of the other side of the best bet. I imagine that Andrew Schnicker, he had the Carolina Panthers and a
Oh,
loss at the New Orleans Saints,
dude.
which we'll get
They
on that because I do want to talk about that's one game I think we need to talk about on Sunday, and that is Carolina and Atlanta.
Tampa.
Excuse me, and Tampa. Sorry,
Yeah.
Tampa visiting Carolina. But we'll start on Thursday night with there's a game that we could probably spend 40 minutes on. We may,
Yeah.
but the Rams pick 'em right now. The Seattle Seahawks totals 44. I did not grab lines. Unfortunately, I forgot to make mine and do the whole thing last
Yeah.
week, so I missed it. I know I saw -1.5 for the Rams after Monday Night Football last night when Scott Van Pelt was literally ruining everything I didn't want to see. Should have just turned it off. Knew I shouldn't have kept it on, but
He
was
had some soccer highlights in there.
yeah, like literally, I'm like, geez, when did this come? Where did this come from? But Devontae Adams, okay, he's out. How much does he matter
Yeah.
to the Rams?
Yeah. Um, so he's obviously, did you say how much does he matter to the Rams in terms of point spread or just overall?
I mean, they still
Um,
won a game against the Lions last week and covered the spread by 1 point. Two of my
yeah.
1 point losses, we already talked about one of them, the New England Patriots.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna make a difference in the red zone. He's been there pretty much other than Colby Parkinson. Devontae Adams is the go-to target in the red zone. This is just like pretty much a team that's on top of the game on offense and against the best defensive best defensive talent, I guess, with the Seattle Seahawks. Um, it's it's pretty amazing that Amazon gets this one on Thursday night because and there's no way you could have predicted that it was going to be like this at the start of the year. To me, like it's a matter of which coach is able to. I think the weaknesses are pretty obvious. I think Seattle struggles to run the football.
Oh yeah,
and I think Sam Darnold is
not looking
scary
like $100 million man anymore.
in these situations. But like I think the Rams. So I think most people are going to look at the Rams offense against the Seattle defense. I think looking at it from the other perspective is also super interesting because neither. I don't think the Rams defense. They just got shredded against Detroit. I think they're fairly overrated. While so
So they are overrated.
is it fair
You're
to
saying
say
they're not
to I think
fairly
they're yeah,
rated.
and I
They
think we
are
talked about that
overrated.
last week. I think we said they weren't as good as we thought they were getting, the respect they were getting.
Yep.
My question to you is like, does Sam Darnold, that side of the ball, decide this game? Like, I think that if Sam Darnold's able to find a rhythm, then I think Seattle's probably going to win this game.
Well, they're in a great position Thursday night football. We know it's really hard to travel like the Rams had to
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
Seattle stayed home, played a very tight game, won on a buzzer beater kicker, field goal, excuse me, by their kicker, who coincidentally missed one in the same matchup, despite their quarterback throwing 4 interceptions. That was going to be a win when these teams matched up the first
Yeah.
time, and would have
Yeah.
been like the Seahawks would be on the one line looking at it, looking down, trying to clinch it almost or something like that right now. I mean, there's still
Yeah.
games left to be played and all that sort of stuff, but they'd be in a much different position. And they got that with their quarterback literally just handing the ball to the other team. Now, I don't know the Seahawks defense was as good last week. Thank you for my elimination in our fantasy football league. Literally about the best matchup you could ever have against some national champion loser from Notre Dame last year. And then all of a sudden, Philip Rivers gets off his couch or takes off his high school football headset and somehow oh my God, just like fantasy, it just killed me. But the Seahawks had pick 'em. I mean, I wish I had made a number and saw this all before this all went down. Devontae Adams certainly means something. I think we've seen the lines sink. But and the Seahawks, I think they closed a 3-point dog at the Rams when this game was played, probably about a month ago. So I don't really see that the Seahawks like. I think they deserve to be favorites. Pick'em seems really cheap to me. Literally, if they draw, or in the American football, if they tie in overtime, no money's exchanging hands. And to me, like I think the Rams need to be an underdog here. Yeah, like they're certainly trending that direction. They have 4 cents more of juice on the pick 'em on the Rams side
Mhm.
than on the Seahawks. I just don't know, like what like the Rams offense has been awesome. That's totally
Yeah.
true. But they really struggled and should have lost to a Seahawks team at home with a quarterback turning it over 4 times when literally one turnover in -1 in turnover differential is enough to lose almost every NFL game. So I'm pretty confident that Seattle's defense can hang around here. One huge weapon is missing in Devontae Adams, who's week to week with a hamstring injury. Puka Nacua left for a few plays, came back and did enough to cover the spread by one single point. But I just I think the Rams are most likely to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, but that's based on where the games were likely to be played.
Yeah.
And this could completely change that. And if the Rams have to go outside, which we know they've had problems with over the years, I I just feel like Seattle should be favored here. So it's weird to me that they're not.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, and the Rams are still the darlings of the NFC, I would say.
I mean,
I
they're
think that
awesome, and they have an awesome coach, and certainly he has less questions about him than
sure.
Mike McDaniel's does for. Did I say Mike? Is that the
Mike McDonald.
McDonald?
Mike
So shit.
McDaniel's,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
get them
Miami.
all
He's got plenty of
Miami.
questions. He has questions
Um
about his sunglasses or whatever he was wearing last night in the dark.
yeah, I know. I think that it's totally fair to have respect. It's just like two of the better teams in the conference. But yeah, like if I'm making one play and I say, okay, you get to choose, it's life and death. You get to choose your quarterback. And, when you live are you picking Matt Stafford or Sam Darnold?
I
But I
am
think like
not
that's a
picking the
very,
guy who said he saw ghosts on a Monday Night Football game. I am not
there you
doing that.
go.
I'm
I,
not picking
I
that.
think that's a very simplistic idea to look at, right? Because that's how everyone's, oh, the quarterback.
Well,
It does matter.
let's go with another simplistic idea. Does it
Okay.
close Rams -1 or higher, or
Yeah.
Seahawks -1 or higher?
Hmm.
You got to pick one that's more likely. You can't say it's going to stay pick 'em because that's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
fun.
I don't think it will. It'll move somewhere. Okay. It's Tuesday night when we're recording this. It's still pick. I bet you know what? I bet we see money on Seattle. I think they probably close short favorite. One and a half.
I mean, they don't have the big injury issue. They just have the issue that they can't run the football, which is
Yeah,
significant.
it's a
We're-
significant one. But I think people will look at that and we like you said, we could talk about this for the whole hell episode. But I think people will look at that first matchup and say, okay, Seattle had all those terrible turnovers. They really shut down the Rams' offense. Really should have won that game if they just would have taken care of the football. This is at home, less questions on the with the injuries. So I think as those data points start to mount and more money is starting to move in the market, you're going to see some Seattle love.
When Seattle climbs to -1, I will play it. Until then, I'll wait. The
Yeah,
Eagles, 6.5 point favorites, the Washington Commanders in a big one on Saturday up against some college football playoff action, which might be a snooze fest as well. Total in this one's 44.5. As people are saying, don't get divorced this weekend, married people. I'm not one of those, so I have no dog in that fight, though I'm seeking it. We'll see if I find it. What do we think about the Eagles? Or maybe I mean, Jaden Daniels isn't playing for the Commanders. He shut down, I think, the rest of the season, at least
yep.
this week. They had the Commanders had a big win on the road at the Giants last week in a game that no one seemed to care about. But I think the focus on the Eagles. Can they take care of business here? They should be able to, right?
Yeah, I mean, the flaws of the Eagles are not going away. I do think that they have a nice cushy little into the season. However, when this team is not running well, even these games that seem very obvious, uh, sometimes don't go the way that you'd expect, especially within the division. I can think back to 2 years ago when they, you know, maybe was it 2 or 3 years ago when they lost to the Giants on like the last game of the season to like lose the division. Um, and then the Giants were still a terrible team at that time. So um, I wouldn't just write it off. I think Mariota's been or Mariota, right?
Oh, oh, all these
Remember
Hawaiian names are, yeah, thank you.
Mariota. No, Marcus Mariota is fine. I still like nothing. Nothing the Eagles did last week was was all that impressive to me. They like committed to running the football, but Saquon still had like 27 touches and 80 yards rushing. So I don't, that's against the Raiders. They're forcing it, and they were just able to win just based off of sheer dominance and, but nothing within the scheme where I was like, okay, yeah, they have something here. So I think it does matter. Like if the Eagles win this game, then they officially win the division. All it takes is one win or another Cowboys loss for that to happen. So um, yeah, like we can I can trash the Eagles for the rest of the season. Um,
I just don't know there's enough to back the Commanders. They played so well last year, were maybe
yeah,
smoke and mirrors and got dominated in an AFC or excuse me,
yeah,
NFC championship game. It was in Philadelphia, so switching the home field does matter. But let's be real.
yeah.
The whatever the heck, Lansdowne, Maryland is not exactly Landover, Maryland, excuse me, is not exactly the home field advantage. Might be a equal split of Eagles and Commanders
Yeah,
fans here. So
yeah.
there's not a lot to, I mean, I could totally see if people want to get like really, really and energized about betting the Commanders because Mariota has been very, very good, I think, filling in for Jaden Daniels. Good fantasy quarterback if you need one. If you drop Dak Prescott, for example, this season, but I'm already eliminated, so it doesn't matter. I think at this point, though, you got to expect Eagles money to come in, and I think I wouldn't be shocked if it closes above 7. If it goes down the other direction, that probably means Washington's even more of a bet. We move now to the Saturday night big one, which is a rematch. I don't know why we do this 2 weeks in between. Green
Yeah.
Bay Packers a 1 point favorite at the Chicago Bears. Totals 46.5 in this one. And we saw the Bears pretty much closing 6.5 or a very juiced 7 just a couple weekends ago in Lambeau Field. Was a close game. Bears were in great position to cover. Went for a late touchdown as they had to because the time was running out. But we're kind of trying to bleed the clock and go for 2 to win, I think, straight up, not even go to
Yeah.
overtime. Um,
It was getting,
what do
I
you
had that sense. I was like, oh, if they score here, they're going for two, aren't they? Like it,
based on their mannerisms, but I mean, I guess you never really know. I am curious though, what is your take on the Green Bay Packers as a favorite in
yeah.
Chicago, without the best defensive player in the world?
When did Miles Garrett? join the Packers.
I mean, I'm sorry, I cannot see a Browns player being best at anything, but he seems nice. Will be a great Cowboy next season.
Yeah, just the dude's about to break the sack record. No, no big deal. Um,
Does a tree fall in the forest? Does it make a sound? You know, all that sort of stuff.
okay, so I think we both have similar opinions on the Bears. Ben Johnson is awesome. Um, what he's done with the running game, and with that helping Caleb Williams. But like when you start separating it, you're like, okay, this dude made Jared Goff awesome. Caleb Williams has so much more talent than Jared Goff. So it stands to reason like, okay, yeah,
He can
this is
walk and chew
obvious.
gum. I'm not sure
This
how
makes
great he is as a
sense. Yeah.
quarterback yet, but he is a athlete.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I love what they're doing. You know, it does feel more they are legit. Whether they need to make a lot of improvements, I still feel like in the offseason, but for this year right now, they're definitely clicking. And everything about the Packers, I've just like haven't really been convinced most of the year. They had a couple quality wins early, um, and then everyone just decided they were the best team in the NFC. And are we like really sure about what Jordan Love is?
I mean, he had some times when I'm betting against him the last 2 weeks. 1-0-1 on those, thankfully,
Yeah.
with the push on the Bears that I bought to 7, or I guess played a juice to 7, and
Hmm.
then wish I had done that in a couple other games this weekend. But anyway, weren't
Yep.
really in the range. Um, he's had some really good moments. And that's maybe what it takes to be an NFL quarterback is to look really good and dangerous and be like, damn, I'm really scared of him betting against him. But then he has plenty of others where I'm like, he's, I mean, no one's perfect, and that's a
Right.
thing. But I don't know that I'm afraid of him for 4 quarters usually. It's like if he has a hot couple drives, and I do like that the Packers have a lot of options, but they lost their difference maker on the D line, who's, I mean, it's coming from a good defense. So I don't know necessarily that they've lost like the queen instead of on the chessboard, but it
Yeah.
seems like they've lost a really important piece. They could probably fill that gap, though it's certainly not as impactful. But I think offensively, losing Christian Watson, who I don't know if he's available for this one, and he was a deep threat
No,
that then
he like
changed the
he went to
game.
like the hospital. I would be shocked.
Right. So like that's and what I felt like with the Packers, speaking of fantasy football that no one cares about, is that they just have so many options that you never know what receiver you want.
Yeah.
But they struggle to keep them all healthy. Maybe Golden's going to be back and just filling a similar role to Christian Watson, though he doesn't seem exactly like the same, just straight down the field type of guy. But to me, the Pack have a lot of questions for what was once the Super Bowl favorite or something like that. Maybe not really, but from the NFC
Yeah.
potentially earlier in the season. And then also, I mean, I expected a lot more questions to be answered. I feel like Josh Jacobs is like everyone one play away, but like is literally looks slower and slower every. I mean, he looks impossible to tackle, more like a bowling ball every second. But there's things that I don't know that I necessarily believe in. And as you already said, we believe in Ben Johnson.
Yeah. I for sure do. Sorry, I was looking at the Packers injury report because they just got, I mean, the Christian Watson stuff, Michael Parsons. Um, yeah, I guess summing up that point on Jordan Love, the compare if Jordan Love and Caleb Williams, I think Jordan Love just gets the benefit of the doubt. I don't know how different those two players are in terms of decision making and some of the results or performances this year. But yet one is obviously getting a lot more credit recently, but has kind of been like cast off after only a year and a half in the league versus someone who everyone's just decided is within that elite tier. That's
I
like
don't
more.
know. I don't know that everyone has to decided that, but certainly as a favorite on the road, losing your best defensive player, your deep threat wide receiver, maybe not the best. I feel like Dontavian Wicks is probably more interesting to me. I would be
Yeah.
more concerned if he was out, if I was the Packers, than Christian Watson, but that's because he goes for long distance touchdown plays. And I think when you're not getting the ball thrown to you that much, it's hard to really show your worth. But I think he's worth a lot. And Packers have to win this game. They go on the road and win by a single point, and you get your money back. So Packers are to me, not at all as a road favorite interesting to me, but I think the Bears are very interesting. We'll move to Sunday. Let's start with
Hold
Sunday.
on, let's before we move on, like let's just do a quick rundown.
Okay.
This was today's Matt LaFleur update on. They didn't
Okay.
practice today. Today's Tuesday. It was a walkthrough.
Yep.
But these are the people that would not have practiced today: Josh Jacobs, Michael Parsons, right tackle Zach Tom, which I think is a significant injury. One of their better offensive linemen, Christian Watson, probably not going to play. Dontavian Wicks would not have practiced today. Safety Evan Williams would not have practiced today. That's a substantial, like these are top tier players for the Packers. Obviously everyone's going to know this information. This is not new, so the number is they're taking these things into
But it
consideration.
impacts where the spread's going to move.
Yeah, they could. It certainly could. Okay, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I did feel like it was important.
I'm allowed. You're allowed to cut me off. You're a co-host on the show for 3 years now. You can do what you want. I think I mean, it's not probably another thing. If the Bears I wake up tomorrow, they're -1, I'll probably bet it too, and just don't
Yeah.
want to get higher than that. And if it goes back to being an underdog, so be it. But I don't want to. I've had a loss this year where a team won by 1 and I was -1.5. I want to say it was the 49ers earlier this year against the Cardinals, which if you saw, they're about 8 games different in the standings right now. But that's a whole other thing. We'll move now to speaking of the New England Patriots. 3-point underdogs on the road at Baltimore Ravens. Totals 48 in this one. How do you get off the mat after being in position to clinch a huge, incredible turnaround division title with a 21-0 lead, with a co-host on a on a pro football podcast saying New England, like what a great start. And I'm not sliding for you or blaming you for it, but I mean, everyone was like, this is exactly what we wanted. And I think I had started to watch the other games because I was like, oh, I feel pretty good here.
Yeah, you're in good shape.
And
Yep.
then the New England table started getting really loud at the bar I was at. They've been very quiet all season, probably because they've been playing the Sisters of the Blind. But then I was like, okay, why are they getting so stressed out? And then I was like, oh my God, it's 24-14 and the Bills are driving. What do I do now?
Well, I also want to look at like I made the comment about Lamar Jackson, and you were like, oh, I don't know. So, has your tone changed on Lamar Jackson in the last
I don't know that it
couple
has
of days?
necessarily. I did back the Bengals this weekend. They scored as many points as Aiden Schwarzenegger and at the real underscore G Warner just did.
Yeah,
And I have not changed my opinion on the Ravens, but that was a win they needed, one that I wasn't sure they were going to get. And they took care of business
yeah,
where they needed to. The Steelers look like they're out in front, just literally have to win. I think Troy Aikman said last night the game against the Ravens, and they will win the division and make the playoffs. So the next games don't really matter for the Steelers, which could be interesting to bet against them because I'm
yeah.
dying to do that. But the Ravens, I mean, I still don't believe in them, and they're 3-point favorites to a team that finished with like 4 wins last season. So I think that's a big reason here.
Yeah,
Plus, the need is certainly more on the Ravens side, but the Pats aren't really going to look past this one. They need this game too.
right. So I did want to. You had a good question there, looking at the Patriots and how they respond. I still feel like this game sets up perfectly for what Vrabel wants to do and like the identity of his teams. We've watched Mike Vrabel and the Titans beat the Ravens in the postseason. It was pretty similar. Like the funny thing with the Ravens, okay, they didn't have Derrick Henry at that time, so that is a fairly it's a big distinction
The
there.
large
But
man difference right there. Yes.
it is. But like the receivers, it's just so funny. The receivers just don't change for the Ravens. They don't really ever have. Zay Flowers is talented, but he's not like a threat to score. He's like more of a speed gadget guy that you use between
Unless
the
I bet the
20s.
Bengals against him, but yes, I agree with that. Ooh, we just
Um, so like I think that we've talked about this and it blew up in our face when we were talking about the Patriots, where I'm just betting. We're at the point where we need to evaluate the full season, but also look at what they've done recently and decide like um, which team is playing better, like which team is the better team this year. Don't evaluate the roster. Don't evaluate what we thought with our priors or what we thought coming into the season. And the Patriots have been one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the league. The Ravens, everyone has expected them to be that. They have not been that. And too often in these moments, you start saying, okay, not you, but the public starts saying, oh, well, the Ravens, this is their time to rally and do. But the proof is what we've seen. And besides, beating the Bengals, one of one of the biggest disappointments this year. Um, I just don't like. I don't have a lot of love for what the Ravens have done, and so yeah, I could certainly make the case to be taking the Patriots again.
I'd rather sell the teams that everyone's expecting to finally wake up than
Right,
buy the teams that
right.
have been performing really well and getting the results. That's, I think, where there is an edge in sports betting in general, or just predicting the future in any type of thing, any sort of investment. Because to me, it's no different picking AAPL versus the New England
Yeah,
Patriots, I gotta say.
yeah.
3 points feels like a nice cushion where the Pats could lose this game and still get out of there with a push, maybe cover the spread if something weird happens with extra points, which they seem to every week. And Justin Tucker's no longer kicking for Baltimore, probably getting massages somewhere. I just think the Pats, I mean, maybe they don't get off the mat here and they really, really just are so sick to their stomachs, but I just don't think that's a Vrabel style team. You could argue he hasn't been there that long. They've had a really easy schedule, so maybe this isn't a true Tennessee Titan Vrabel type of squad. But I also wonder if the Pats are a little bit like naive because they lost a ton of games last year. That almost feels like to me they're all kind of playing with house money at this point, being like, "Wow, this is great." And if we make
Yeah.
playoffs, that's good enough. Like, I don't know that I see them peeing down their leg when Lamar Jackson's on the other side of the field either, who's never really been good in weather. It is
Yeah.
December 16th right now as we record. It's going to be even later in the year when this game is played. And Baltimore weather on Sunday is supposed to be 52 with a low of 27. And this is a night game.
Yeah. No,
Looks
I think
like
you're
sub 40 for kickoff.
yeah, I think you're spot on with a lot of that. The Patriots don't, they finished the season with division games against the Dolphins and Jets, where they'll be favored to win. If they take two out of if they win two of these last three, then they're going to clinch the division no matter what.
So that
No
means
matter
they could punt this game, or
could.
or they have no pressure on them because they're going to win the division anyway. They're not afraid of these last two games.
Yeah, they're still in, that game Sunday was, you know, was quite a statement for Buffalo, but it doesn't impact what New England can do this season, nor if they can win the division. So it's still a matter of just winning these two out of three. It doesn't matter what Buffalo has, what they think they can do. So yeah, I think that's a good question for us to try to answer. We're not going to really be able to um, until we see them kick off. And um,
I don't believe the Vrabel team's going to no show. It certainly could,
that's what I mean. Is
but
like, I'm not used to seeing that from his crew. Um,
I mean, I guess you can
but
never
is this like
prepare
a
for it. When it happens, and you're screwed, and you know it pretty quickly.
yeah? Is
But
this a must win for Baltimore though? Like if
totally, I
they
mean,
have to win.
they need to finish ahead of the Steelers, pretty much, especially if they lose to them in Week 18.
Well, yeah, like
So
that's what I mean though. It's like if you lose this one, but then you win week 18, would they still be one game back? I know this is something
okay,
that's
standings
easily Googled,
are
but
so the Ravens and the standings. I can tell you right now, the Ravens are one game behind with a
okay,
head-to-head loss.
yeah,
In terms of probably need to go deeper into the division, but the Ravens have lost to the Bengals. That's not good in division. They've lost to Steelers. That's two losses.
yeah.
I don't think the Steelers have lost to the Browns or the Bengals. So there we go.
Wow, this,
Go ahead.
this Ravens schedule to close out the year is pretty daunting. My
It's
goodness,
it's really tough. It truly is. And
hosting the Patriots on the road at Green Bay and then on the road at Pittsburgh.
I'm like forever kicking myself for just allowing whoever the hell decided that this is going to be what happened, that the Ravens deserved to be favored for so long. I didn't believe
As
it.
like
I didn't like
division
it, and
favorites,
and I just
they were
couldn't.
like 2-5.
I mean, it seems like it's maybe a little bit proven right based on how close this is right now, considering where the Ravens were. But
Yeah,
like, I mean, the Steelers are 3-1 in division, so they've lost this to, I guess, to the Bengals. The Ravens are 3-2, and I mean, they need it to win everything. Is pretty much how this goes. But I didn't see like a ton of urgency. I thought the Ravens and the Bengals got off to a really ugly start. It was 0-0 for a long time. Ravens finally busted one because the Bengals don't didn't cover a running back who just like waltzed his way 40 yards for a touchdown. And
Yeah.
it's almost like that was what broke the straw that broke the camel's back, which is really disappointing, but it happened. Well, last game we'll get to on our standalones, then we'll try to get to some more before we get to our best bets coming end of show. San Francisco 49ers, 6-point favorites at Philip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. Totals 46 and a half in this one. Is Indiana Rivers going to somehow construct another cover?
It was pretty impressive to not like what he did, but just what the Colts did overall against Seattle on the road. I watched as that money actually the money line was just dropping and dropping uh against the Seahawks. So with Rivers, it's basically, the whole narrative. He knows the offense, he knows what's going on. He wasn't overall that impressive, but I do think um, he's just a smart football mind in that way. He knows what to expect. So it's almost like a coach on the field that can kind of execute at some level. And I do think San Francisco, while they've been able to cobble together a pretty good season with all the injuries they've had on the defensive side of the ball, going into this year, we talked about how easy their schedule was,
Yeah.
and they've done is won in those situations, which is great for them. But I do think the Colts are fully bought in. They know they have to win this game to have a shot. If they lose this one, it's elimination. So this is where we start getting into like the must win conversations that you and I have about like um, going. Once people start talking must wins, that's when I start the sirens start going off that it maybe worth evaluating the other side because you may be getting a nice price on that
Yes,
team.
but must win is different when you're a 6-point home underdog and you are fighting like heck to keep your playoff hopes alive with some guy who just came
Well,
off his couch or whatever at 44 years old, and you can lose by 5 points, 6 points, or less, and walk out of there with a push. Versus to me, the big similar to what we were talking about with, I want to bet against the results of teams that I think are really overvalued or against teams that are that the market really loves and has not performed. The other way is I really don't like the bubble teams in college basketball that can't lose this game as a certain whatever favorite. Those times that feels like to me that's when the nerves really strike. This is like they don't believe in us. We have to make this happen, and I don't know necessarily that that's the type of mindset that I'm afraid of in this must-win territory.
okay, maybe. If we're looking at it one way or the other, it's still that they can't lose this game.
Sure, and
They,
that I'm not
they're
debating.
going to have to, Seattle kicked what, 6 field goals, so they're going to have to keep a 49ers offense that is very healthy and good out of the because if you're having Philip Rivers trying to chase, like it's going to get ugly. So I do think it's different than the Seattle matchup because of the strengths of each of those teams, right? So yeah, we'll see. But yes, it's an advantage that they're at home. They're going to be a big home dog. Um, and like Philip Rivers was adequate. He was fine. If you can hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor, get it to him on time, then it should be fine. But
Two more games I want to cover before we get to best
yeah,
bets. The Tampa Bay
yep, yep.
Buccaneers 3-point favorites at the Carolina Panthers. Totals 45 in this one. Nobody wants to win NFC South, but
No,
Bucks are a big favorite away from home.
yeah. So the Panthers game, they had a 10-point lead in the third quarter. Um, they go for it on fourth down in the fourth quarter when they could have gone up 20-7 at that time. It was like a 50-yard field goal. So that was just rough. We talked about the setup for that. It was not the best of numbers, being a road favorite in the division. But I'm just like going to try to keep selling on the Saints no matter what because that quarterback situation is really bad. Which brings me to the point of the Bucks and Panthers. What we watched on Thursday night, the Falcons and Kirk Cousins like always play well against Todd Bowles in that defense. He looked great too. I know anyone that had Kyle Pitts, like I hope you played him in fantasy. I hope you started him if you had him. Um, but yeah, like the Panthers have been a different team at home, but neither of these teams have really an identity that you can peg down. Do you have like I would again take the opposite and say, okay, well, the Panthers are getting 3 at home. This is when they've been at their best. Like if I just have to make a pick and not watch the game, I'll just take the Panthers and check the box score later. Um,
I
that would be
can't.
my
I can't.
impression.
I mean, it's obvious. Anyone who listens to any podcast I do across any network on anything I say, you know what's going to come out of here. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Bucks are so healthy, but they have been bad for months, and they are a road
Yeah.
favorite against a team that just fell on its face with a lead. Has been playing very well at home. I think it's as simple as that. The last one I want to get to before we get to our best bets, it's just a number that seems like a mistake to me. Los Angeles Chargers are 1 point underdog on the road to Dallas Cowboys. Season's over. They're 1% chance to make the playoffs or whatever. Total's 49
Yeah.
and a half. George Pickens doesn't care. Javonte Williams missed like half the game and cost me a fantasy matchup and playoff, all this sort of stuff. Thank you. Not his fault, but it happens. Chargers are coming off a win in Kansas City. They killed their opponent, Mahomes, his knee, coming off a short week win against the Eagles. The market was against the Chargers the whole day. It looked really bad to start, and that's why I was like, well, at least I'm gonna get the Pats, but the Chargers aren't gonna happen, and the Bengals haven't scored yet. And then it all flips around. I go 1-2, and it's like the weird one that wins, and that is the Chargers straight up scoring 16 points. It got a great kicker, we know that. Cowboys
Yep.
did until Sunday night, and yet the Cowboys are favored, and I don't really get it.
I think from a number perspective, if you math it out, it's probably yeah, it's probably right. Like in terms of evaluating just the market. Um,
I had the Chargers a dog. I just didn't agree with it, and I feel like I bet this is going to be wrong, and I was very surprised. I mean, it's -1, -117 to bet online currently,
yeah,
so it's not like a big favorite,
it's
but I want
yeah,
that candy.
I know. I can't imagine there are many people that would take, but I'm getting the inclination, like intrusive thought, that the Chargers are just kind of bad. Like,
I don't think their defense is bad.
uh, I mean, if
If
they
their
can
defense is
replicate,
bad, then they have no redeeming qualities at this point.
yeah, I'm kind of there. If they can replicate what Brian Flores was able to do to simulate all that pressure, then I think Dak could struggle again.
I mean,
But
the
like,
Vikings defense has been horrible all season compared to Brian Flores'
I don't see this.
reputation.
I don't see the Cowboy. To me, I don't see this like the narrative of, oh well, they're gonna just give up or give in. I don't feel that's not doesn't feel like the vibe that I've seen. This is still like a first year coach making an impression. Dak has like been playing great most of the season. I don't see that happening with this team, even if they're eliminated.
Even if
Um,
number 3 has already gone that way. I mean, it's possible.
right,
I
like there
don't.
could be one, but like you still have, you have CD Lamb. Um, yeah, I this does feel kind of funny to me, which I'm just not a fan of the Chargers. Taking the Chargers on the road, betting them, like that just feels like at 5 o'clock. Or wait, is this a noon game? That feels at like 2:20. I'm like, why the hell did I do this? Like, what was the point of
I think
this?
I'm willing to sign up for it. If you want to
Go for
follow
it, man.
the episodes, go through Betting the Pitch Apple Podcast on Spotify at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube, Instagram, on Twitter, and at A underscore Snicker on Twitter as well. Where are you going for your best bet on this episode, A underscore Snicker?
Yeah, I realize we got to move quick. We're
Yep.
running out of time here.
Love this.
All right. My best bet. Let's go. All right. Let's see what you got. Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. Let's take the
Whoa.
Jags +3 on the road at Denver this weekend.
That is a game I wish we had time to get to. I'll take the Carolina Panthers +3.
Nice.
I just can't do it with Tampa. Can't do it. I didn't wear the colors on purpose tonight. I just didn't want to wear something that would get someone's ACL torn up because I've got people that probably are mad at me. And that's it for this episode. We'll see you on the reel that I'll cut this weekend, and let's win some money. It's been a really good run lately. We were 5-1 our last 3 episodes. We did take 2 losses, but 5-3 last 8, and we're going to keep the momentum going through the playoffs all the way through the Super Bowl.